What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Faith and Fire, God and Country. Branden LaNette here. I'm super glad you guys are joining me again. I would say I'm a little earlier, not much earlier, recording today for you guys than I was on Tuesday. We're actually going to finish the same day we start. So, no midnight recording. I beat it by an hour and I'm super excited. This has been um, an insane week. And what do you know, you guys? Tax day was yesterday, April 15th, the most beloved holiday on the federal calendar, said no one ever. And yeah, let's just start there because I think that is the perfect entry point into everything I could talk about today. Because if you actually stop and think about what tax day is, if you really just kind of sit with it for a second, it sets the tone for every single conspiracy that I'm going to walk through tonight. You worked all year. I hope my husband's not listening. I'm not trying to be the doom and gloom, you guys. You worked all year, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week if you know, you got the fam to support. Thank you, honey. Thank you, Benjamin. Um 70, 80 hours a week if you're a small business owner and you're hustling to keep everybody afloat. You showed up, you earned that money, you paid your bills with what was left after they already took their cut from every single paycheck. And then yesterday, you had to sit down and prove to the federal government that you correctly handed, gave them 20, 30, sometimes 40% of everything you made. And if you get it wrong, if you miss a number, if you forget a form, penalties, interest, audits. Have you guys ever experienced that? We definitely got caught up once. Not It was very scary. Actually, it wasn't on purpose. Um, I mean, people even face prison with this. But obviously, meanwhile, Tim Walz's administration in Minnesota just got hit with, those allegations. Another $9 billion in fraud across multiple state programs. Um, Billions of dollars with a B. I'm not saying millions in case, I am a little tired. My speech may not be on point. Federal investigators and lawmakers are filing to impeach him over it. There is actual documented articles of impeachment going through the system right now. And you know what's going to happen to the people who stole that money? I'm going to tend to say probably nothing. Probably nothing. Maybe a slap on the wrist, maybe a press conference, maybe a quiet resignation. They're going to keep their pensions, they'll keep their connections, they'll land a cushy job at a think tank or a consulting firm, and they'll be just fine. But you, my darlings, if you forget to file a 1099 from a side gig, they're going to garnish your wages. I had to even claim Facebook money from what Facebook pays me. You guys, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And this is what I think about taxes. Okay. Most of what they take from you doesn't go where they say it goes. Democrat city fraud, hospice fraud, daycare fraud, disaster relief fraud, sponsor fraud, where billions of dollars in Medicaid money got shipped to people who didn't even exist. Foreign aid that lines the pockets of dictators, studies on the mating habits of fruit flies in Argentina, NGOs that exist solely to launder money back to the politicians who funded them. That's where your money's going. Okay, not the roads, especially if you live in Michigan, where we don't play that game. It's not going back to the schools. It's not the things they put in the pretty pie chart they showed you in fifth grade civics class. Speaking of fifth grade civics class, let's talk about why you don't know any of this. Because the education system in this country was designed to keep you from knowing. The whole American school model: sit down, shut up, raise your hand for permission to use the bathroom, memorize what we tell you, regurgitate it on a test. You guys, that wasn't designed by people who wanted free thinkers. This was the beginning. This was still part of that manipulation creation. Okay. It was designed by industrialists in the early 1900s who really wanted obedient factory workers. Okay. John Taylor Gatto wrote a whole book about this called Dumbing Us Down. Boy, boy, if someone wrote a book about that today. It should be required reading for every parent in America. The system is not broken. The system is doing exactly what it was built to do: produce people who can follow instructions but cannot think critically about who's giving the instructions. The Bible says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, not destroyed for lack of intelligence, destroyed for a lack of knowledge. There's a difference. You can be brilliant and still be ignorant if nobody ever taught you the truth. And that is the position that millions of Americans are in right now. Like these smart, hardworking, well meaning people who simply do not know what's actually happening in their own country because the system was designed to keep them busy and too tired and too distracted to find out. That changes today. That changes right now because you're going to do your research. Okay. Quick housekeeping. You guys know I have my patches on, right? My favorite ones to share, especially for this show with the demographic. I think freedom and liberty are the number one patches. This is going to be your bringing your body back to homeostasis, balance, like core balance, and pain free. Okay. Ingredient free, wearable wellness. I have it. I have a patch for everything. Um, and make sure you guys, if you dig the vibe on this show, I do go in depth about what it is to actually spark the rebellion. I'm doing the rebellion over on Listen Bitch, okay? Um, not so much the politics, but definitely the daily 4 days a week I show up to tell you how to unplug from the systems, okay? Um, so that's all there, accessible for you guys. My links for the patches are in the comments. You guys, these patches are what keep the light on for the show. Every purchase you make, I get a little kickback. Um, and to be honest, it buys me more patches as well. And I have a big family. We go through them. We go through them. So I appreciate every purchase that you guys make. And if you have any questions, if you're like not sure, you get on the website and you're like, this is overwhelming, there's a lot going on. Please just message me, you guys. Okay. You could text me 269-340-2428. Okay. Text. Bitch, I don't have time to answer the phone lately. Okay. Not always, but just lately. It's not personal. So we should start probably tonight, I guess, with the moon landing because I know half of you are already rolling your eyes. Branden, please don't do it. But I'm going to do it because I said at the beginning of the show that I'm always going to say what I think my truth is. And the moon landing is the original conspiracy theory. I feel like it's the grandfather of them all. And truly, the more I dig, the more I cannot face that we put men on the moon in 1969 with technology that was less powerful than the calculator on your cell phone. Okay. And if we lay out the facts, and, and you tell me what makes sense. 1969, NASA claims they sent 3 men in a tin can 240,000 miles to the moon. Landed 2 of them on the surface, walked around, they planted a flag, took some pictures, and brought them all home safely with computers that had less processing power than a Tamagotchi. Do you guys remember that shit? Okay. With suits that supposedly protected them from radiation levels that would have killed them in minutes through the Van Allen belts. We did this 6 more times, all successfully, and then suddenly in 1972, we just stopped. Forever. We never went back. We lost the technology. The the technology to do the most extraordinary thing humanity's ever done. We just lost it, like leaving, a sweater at a restaurant. Make that make sense. We have phones in our pockets that are millions of times more powerful than the Apollo computers. We have suits that can withstand the deepest parts of the ocean. We have spent untold trillions of dollars on space technology in the last 50 years, and we cannot get back to the moon. NASA has been going back to the moon for 15 years. How much money have they gotten for this program? Just curious. They keep delaying. They keep pushing the date. The Artemis missions keep getting postponed. And yet we're supposed to believe that with 1969 slide rules and duct tape, they pulled it off 7 times. And this is where it gets really interesting. Okay, the video circulating on social media, including one that's been blowing up this week, showing the Artemis astronauts walking out to wave at crowds. I've seen their speeches, very sketchy. These are not people that had this experience. Okay, they're hired actors. I've even seen some rabbit holes on that as well. Um, People in the crowd are filming them. But then when you look at the camera screens of the people filming, the astronauts don't appear. It's like they're not even actually there. And if it's some kind of overlay or projection, that's I'm not telling you what to believe, to believe everything you see on social media. Like I just talked about how easy stuff could be manipulated. I'm telling you that it's super weird. It's just so weird. The whole situation is weird. And it's weird enough that it's going viral. It's weird enough that people are actually asking a lot of questions. Okay. Um, I mean, their speech, you guys. Did you not watch that? Like, my discernment is off the charts of just like, this doesn't feel right. Something very completely off. And I have seen the pictures of these people obviously in different situations, like as paid actors. And I know that's a whole thing, the Actors Guild or something. Like, people have all signed, they're all actors. That I know. All right, life is scripted. But there's a body count. Um, and I've seen 14. That's the body count that I've seen is 14. But I only found personally up to 10, okay, yesterday. Um or the day, it was the day before yesterday, a 10th American scientist with access to top secret nuclear and aerospace material went missing or was found dead. And this is the 10th one. Peter Ducey asked Caroline Leavitt about it at the White House press briefing yesterday. And she basically said she'd seen the reports but couldn't comment on an ongoing situation, which 9 times out of 10, that's fair. But like 10 scientists, you guys, since mid 2024, all of them connected to classified work, most of them connected to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Los Alamos National Laboratory, the Air Force Research Laboratory, or the Kansas City National Security Campus. Okay. And these are the names I found because I feel like their families deserve for their names to be said out loud, because this isn't going viral on the places it should. We've got Michael David Hicks, okay. NASA JPL scientist. He worked on asteroid and comet research. Died July 30th, 2023. No public cause of death. Frank Malwald. Okay, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, you guys. You're gonna just love me anyway. Okay, I do it. I hate reading the Bible out loud, even to my kids, because I'm just embarrassed. I don't know how to pronounce it, and I never take the time to see. So just, okay, love me. Bear with me. Um, he was a researcher, 61 years old, died July 4th, 2024 in Los Angeles. No cause of death released, no autopsy performed. Anthony Chavez, 79, former Los Alamos National Laboratory employee, disappeared from his home on May 4th, 2025. Walked out on foot, left his car, wallet, and keys behind, never seen again. Monica Reza, 60 years old, director of the Materials Processing Group at NASA, disappeared on a hike in Los Angeles National Forest on July 22nd, 2025. Vanished within yards of her hiking group. Never found. Melissa Casillas, 54, administrative assistant at Los Alamos with top security clearance, disappeared from her home on June 26, 2025, just 4 days after Reza. Same pattern. Walked out, left her stuff. Her phones had been wiped. Okay, that's not suspicious. Stephen Garcia, 48, government contractor at the Kansas National Security Campus in Albuquerque, facility that manufactured 80% of all non-nuclear components for America's nuclear weapons. Vanished August 28, 2025. Walked out of his house carrying only a handgun. Never seen again. Nuno Lorerio, okay, 47, director of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center at MIT, on the verge of a major fusion energy breakthrough. Shot and killed at his home in Brookline, Massachusetts on December 15th, 2025. Carl Grilmer, 67, Coltech astrophysicist whose work supported NASA telescope missions and he was contracted to military missile tracking systems. Shot and killed in his front porch at 6 in the morning on February 16th, 2026. Major General William Neal McCaslin, 68, retired Air Force, former commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory, oversaw a $2.2 billion science and technology program at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Appeared in WikiLeaks emails as an advisor on UFO disclosure. Disappeared on February 27, 2026. Walked out of his New Mexico home with his phone, his glasses, his wearable devices. Took a .38 caliber revolver, never seen again. And Jason Thomas, 45, pharmaceutical researcher, disappeared in late 2025. Body found in a Massachusetts lake on March 17th, 2026. These are the 10 I found. Again, I see a lot of reports about 14. People are talking about 14. I could not find the names. I couldn't find the other 4 people that they're talking about. All connected to America's most sensitive scientific work. All dying or vanishing in less than 2 years. And the official line that there's no proven connection. They're investigating each case individually. Former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker said publicly that you can say these are all suspicious and these are scientists who have worked in critical technology. Eric Burleson, congressman from Missouri, formally requested FBI involvement. Tennessee Tim Burchett, who has been one of the loudest voices on UFO disclosure in Congress. Again, UFOs, you guys, aliens or demons, will make that clear. Anyway, he said, there have been several others throughout the country who have disappeared. So you tell me, are we buying the coincidence? 10 people all in the same niche field, all with top secret clearance, all in less than 2 years, when the largest topic of conversation in Washington for the last 3 years has been that UFO disclosure and the secrets of the deep state that the deep state doesn't want released. I don't believe in coincidences that big. And the Bible doesn't either. Galatians 6:7, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whatever is being hidden, whoever's doing the hiding, whoever's silencing the scientists, God sees it. God knows their names, and God knows what they're going to say. And every single drop of innocent blood that has been spilled to keep this stuff buried will cry out from the ground exactly the way Abel's blood cried out to God in Genesis chapter 4. You cannot kill the truth. You can only delay it. And this is my connection for the moon landing, because if there are people in this country willing to kill scientists in 2025 and 2026 to keep scientists, to keep this classified information from getting out, what do you think they were willing to do in 1969 to sell the biggest geopolitical victory of the Cold War? You think they wouldn't fake a moon landing to beat the Russians? You think they wouldn't murder a few people to keep the secret? Stanley Kubrick allegedly filmed it on a soundstage. Have you guys seen that footage? There are theories that he hid clues about it in The Shining for decades, Room 237, the Apollo sweater on the kid, the whole thing. And I'm not telling you it's all true. I'm telling you the story we were given doesn't add up. And the people who would benefit from us never asking questions are the same people who currently have the technology to silence anyone who tries. Okay? And I'll be careful here, because some of you are going to push back and be like, Branden, the astronauts who supposedly went to the moon are American heroes. They serve this country. I hear you. I'm not attacking the people. I'm questioning the story. I'm questioning the people too. There is a difference. It's not really an attack. I'm just questioning it. And honestly, if those men were part of a cover-up, if they were ordered by their superiors to participate in deception that they couldn't refuse, like, I guess they're victims too. Most of them are dead now. We'll never get the truth from them. But the men currently working at NASA, the ones who are mysteriously dying right now, those are the ones I'm worried about. And those are the ones whose names we need to keep saying. The Bible tells us in Luke chapter 12, there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What you have said in the dark will be heard in the daylight, and what you have whispered in the ear in the inner rooms will be proclaimed from the rooftops. Okay? Everything is going to come out. The moon landing, the deep state, the trafficking networks, the cloning, all of it. God is not playing. He sees every single thing being whispered in those classified meetings, and it is all coming to the rooftops. Okay? God's timing, you guys. I think that's the biggest frustration for all of us, is having to understand that everything that comes through is going to be on his timing. Do we want to see overnight truth? Yes, I want to wake up tomorrow and know everything. But that would also mean I'm probably done in my human experience, and I'm not quite ready for that. Okay? You guys, the story is not over. It's not even close to being over. And every time it almost surfaces, something distracts us, like a war, a scandal, celebrity drama, manufactured crisis. They don't want you thinking about the, Epstein client list, right? Let's talk about that. They don't want you talking about it. They don't want anybody talking about it. They don't want you thinking about Ghislaine, whatever her name is. I never say her name right either. They don't want you thinking about who was on the island, who went on those flights, who was filmed in those rooms. Laura Boebert just stirred the whole pot back up. She's pursuing a search warrant for Anthony Weiner's laptop. That laptop, you guys know the one I'm talking about, the one was seized by NYPD detectives years ago, the one that allegedly had a folder labeled life insurance that contained material so disturbing that veteran detectives reportedly threw up after watching what was on it. The frazzle drip video, I talked to you guys about this, where the face of a young lady was taken off as a mask, and one ex-first lady was wearing it for fun. Boebert is in the oversight committee, and she said, quote, the DOJ has it. I'm getting my hands on the laptop. The public is going to know what's on there. And then she said something that should kind of make your blood run cold. She said she's heard that some of the FBI agents who investigated that laptop are not alive anymore. Okay. Her words, it's been said that many have committed suicide, that it was so disturbing. And then she made the connection a lot of us have been making for years that an unusual number of people connected to the Clintons end up dead, suicide, plane crashes, sudden illnesses, and the list is long enough that it has its own Wikipedia page, really. And we already talked about John McAfee. Okay, I told you guys about him. Same playbook, same suspicious suicide, same convenient timing. This is not a fringe theory anymore. This is not a Reddit conspiracy. JD Vance, our VP of the US, said publicly that he's going to investigate Pizzagate after new revelations in the Epstein files. The vice president, his words, said it out loud. The same, theory that conservative commentators were getting banned from social media forever mentioning 8 years ago is now being investigated in higher levels of government. How many other things do we get called crazy for believing are about to get proven? Because I'll tell you what, I don't think, babe, that we have even scratched the surface yet. And the Trump administration, I know it's not on your guys' timing. I want you just to sit on that for a second. It is not your timing, but they are doing a lot. The Trump administration's been working on it, and it's one of those wins that the media is not going to tell you about, okay? Since Trump has been back in office, his Department of Homeland Security under Kristi Noem has located 132,720 unaccompanied migrant children. Children that the Biden administration lost, that nobody protested for. I didn't see any virtual signaling. I didn't see any flags flying, no little black squares. Nobody's talking about that. We found them. Many of these turned out to be smugglers and sex traffickers, okay, when their sponsors were busted. 300 to 450,000 kids were brought across our border under Biden and just got handed off to people who claim to be relatives. No background checks, no follow-ups, no verifications. They just disappear into the underground. And under Trump, ICE launched the UAC Safety Verification Initiative in November. They did this in 2025 to find the kids. They've conducted door-to-door welfare checks. They've arrested traffickers. They've rescued children from situations so horrific that I can't even describe them on the show. In one case, agents found a pregnant 14-year-old girl living with the man who was supposed to be her sponsor. Turned out to be the biological father of her unborn child, 14 years old. In another case, they discovered cartel-affiliated baby trafficking ringleader, nicknamed La Diabla, the she-devil, who lured pregnant women to I need someone to come and remind me to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Lured pregnant women to remote locations, performed illegal C-sections, harvested the mother's organs, and sold the babies to American couples for up to 250,000 pesos. Okay. This is happening. No one's talking about that. And no one's talking about how we're finding these people. So just sit with that for a second. Because, yeah, that's a real story. It's happening right now. And it's been happening for years, and the media you trust did not tell you about this. And the media that you trust is not informing you about this. That we have done something. We've made a huge dent in the mess that the previous administration has left. But yeah, they're too busy lecturing about pronouns and climate change and what color M&M was sexy enough to put on the bag. Trump is doing the work. His administration is doing the work, whether the establishment likes it or not, and they are putting up walls for him as much as they can. This administration is taking trafficking seriously in a way that no administration in my lifetime has. Again, look at the proof and the truth and the history of what anyone has done, not your expectations, not your Epstein timeline, not what you want to happen right now, but look at the proof and truth of what has been done versus what they're doing. He declared January 2026 National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Signed multiple executive orders on day one of his second term specifically targeting trafficking networks. His task force has arrested thousands of cartel members and traffickers, and he's putting agents in the field to find these missing children. Again, is it perfect? No. There are reports that some traditional child exploitation investigations have slowed because so many ICE agents got reassigned to immigration enforcement. That is talk about that, but the broader strategic picture is undeniable. The trafficking infrastructure is being attacked at the source. The border is being closed. The cartels are being hunted. The kids are being found. And this is why, when everybody has turned face and everybody is freaking out, I still am currently standing my ground that I am happy with my vote. Okay. And I said it last episode. I'll say it again. Trump is not Jesus. He is a flawed, sinning man. But I'm not going to pretend, that it's anything other than that. On the issue of children, on protecting babies from being trafficked, raped, harvested, and sold, he's doing things that no other president ever had the courage to do. And he's doing them. And I know you guys are like, well, he's a pedophile. He's a rapist. You guys, bring me the receipts. Bring me the receipts, and I assure you, anybody who messes with kids is done to me. Done. So please bring me the receipts, because I've seen all the coordinated attacks. I've seen the smears, the lies, the comment from a judge, right? Like I'm saying, show me the real receipts of what he's done, and we can proceed with a conversation, and I would change my stance, okay? Anybody that hurts babies. But he's doing stuff that nobody else has done, with everyone attacking him. And the Bible has a lot to say about that. Jesus said it himself. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. He didn't say, hey, go give these pedophiles therapy. He didn't say, if you beat up a kid, let's try to understand why you did that. He said, it is better to be drowned, tied to a stone in the depths. That's how seriously God takes the protection of children. That's how his heart breaks over what's being done to them. All of these elite networks, and yes, I'm going to call them what they are, the elite pedophile child-eating networks. They have been operating with impunity for decades, for generations. Some of these families have been out at this for hundreds of years. You want one guy to flip the switch on that in his presidency, but nobody else ever has. One guy. Huh? Is that what you want? I love it. You guys, they run the financial system. They run the entertainment industry. They run pharmaceuticals. They run major media. They run the foundations and the NGOs that sit between governments and the rest of us. They use that power to protect themselves and their access to kids. This is above a president's pay grade. Okay? And it's a spiritual issue. I'll be very clear about that. This is not just about money or power or perversion. This is demonic. This is the harvesting of the most innocent souls God created for purposes that I genuinely believe go beyond what most people are ready to hear. Adrenochrome, ritual abuse, the things Boebert is trying to get out of that laptop, this is the playground of the devil himself. And the people participating in it are not just bad people. They are working in direct partnership with darkness. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, Ephesians 6:12, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Go look that up. Read it for yourself and tell me Paul wasn't describing the world we're living in right now. He wasn't talking about your annoying coworker. He was talking about actual spiritual warfare being conducted by actual evil forces using actual human agents. And the proof is everywhere if you have eyes to see it. And I'll take this a step further because I think we're ready to have the conversation. Okay. I am seeing a bunch of cloning plausibilities. Okay. Not the AI stuff. This is stuff I've seen long before AI. It's weird. Do I think it's possible? Yes. Do I think it's happening? Of course. Do I think we're seeing it on our television screens? I don't doubt that we are. And hear me out before you decide that I've gone to tinfoil hat, okay? Cloning is not science fiction, right? You guys know this. Let's talk about Dolly the sheep. What was that in 1996? I was 16. That was almost 30 years ago. 30 years ago with 90s technology. Y'all, the science has advanced exponentially since then. We can grow human organs in pigs. We can edit DNA with CRISPR. We can grow embryos in artificial wombs. We can take a single cell and create an identical copy of an entire organism. That's not theory, that's documented, peer reviewed science. But publicly, they're telling us that human cloning has not been done. I've told you guys about the scary basement that has created some incredible weapons for us. You think there's not a scary basement where they're not doing human experiments, right? They're saying it's been banned because it was unethical. Yeah, but we brag about abortion and that's totally ethical, right? Ripping babies apart? Oh, definitely. I see the line. Nobody would ever do it. Nobody would ever do it. Do you guys believe that? Like, do you? Because I don't. And the same people who have unlimited money, they're bored. Okay, they have everything they've ever wanted. So why not experiment on the humans? Like doing all the dumb shit they're doing. Unlimited resources, no moral compass, and a documented history of doing the most depraved things imaginable to children. You really think they wouldn't fund a private cloning program if it meant they could live forever? Or replace a body that's wearing out? Or create the perfect victim? Be serious. Be serious. Okay? This I'm not trying to take you guys with me off the rails, but be serious, right? And I want you to be careful. I don't say this stuff, you guys. I'm not like a super sleuth every single night, not sleeping because I'm so hyper obsessed with this. Okay. I'm not one of those guys. Like, truly. I just see the things. I have the discernment. I find things that make sense. And let's get down to the bottom of this because it's kind of a double edged sword here. Ask you a question. Does this affect your daily life? No. Should you be staring at your favorite celebrity trying to figure out if they've been cloned? No. And actually, at this point in time, like if you even have a celebrity that's your favorite, ew. Okay. Um, but listen, is whatever I say to you going to change? Is whatever they're doing going to change whether or not you go to work tomorrow, or whether I tuck my kids in tonight, or whether I read the Bible to them? No. But the thing is, it is part of the larger picture of what these elite networks are capable of. So, yes, it is consistent with what scripture warns us about. Yes, it is the playground of the devil. Absolutely. Genesis chapter 6. Please go read it. The sons of God came down and took human women as wives, and they had children with them, and those children became the Nephilim, the giants. The Bible literally describes it's a hybrid program in the days of Noah, where supernatural beings were producing genetically modified offspring with humans. And then what does God do? He floods the earth, partly because the genetic line of mankind has been so corrupted that he had to wipe it out and start over with Noah's family. That is in your Bible. And Jesus said in Matthew 24, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the Son of Man, and as it was in the days of Noah. We're watching it happen again. The corruption of the human genome, the blurring of what it means to be human, the mixing of species through gene editing, the creation of humanized animals in labs, the fertility industry where babies are designed and selected like they're shopping for a car. Designer DNA, that's a thing. Embryo screening, surrogacy as a service. Parentless children created for purposes we are not allowed to ask questions about. This is Genesis 6 energy to me. This is what God said he would never tolerate again, and it's happening on our watch. And yeah, okay. I'm mocking the celebrities, but I'm not saying every celebrity is a clone. I'm not saying we should go down the rabbit hole, like I said. What I'm saying is that the technology exists, the moral barriers are gone, and the people in power are beyond evil. And the Bible warned us the season was coming. So when you see the world getting more bizarre by the day, when you see the things that don't add up, when you see celebrities behaving in ways that don't make sense, don't dismiss your discernment. That's all I'm saying. Trust the spirit God put in you. Test every spirit. Ask the hard questions, and don't let anyone shame you for noticing. I just want you guys to see that we have become useful idiots. I want you to unplug from the system. I want you to wake up to everything being scripted in front of you and stop letting it run your life. You know, and I know I've kind of covered a lot, and I want you guys to walk away from this episode with a clear thread, okay? The reason your taxes are insane is connected to the reason the schools are dumbing your kids down, is connected to the reason scientists are dying, is connected to the reason Epstein is still relevant, is connected to the season of cloning that isn't being talked about is connected to the reason elites get away with everything. It is one network. It is one system. It is one spirit operating through many people. That spirit hates God. He hates children. It hates the truth and it hates you. Good news, because I am not in the business of leaving you in despair. The good news is that for the first time in my lifetime, the curtain is being pulled back. Documents are being declassified. Names are being named. Networks are being exposed. Children are being rescued. Predators are being arrested. The light is on and the cockroaches are scattering. And whether you love Trump or hate him, I don't care. He's just a man. I made it clear. Okay. I pray and support what's happening. He's the disruptor. He is the wrench in the gears of a machine that has been operating smoothly for hundreds of years. And that's why they hate him. That's why they've put on such a full front force to make sure you hate him too. And that's why they try to impeach him on lies. That's why they're indicting him on garbage. That's why they tried to kill him last year. That's why they're smearing him. They've paid all these influencers to make sure that you think he's done a bad job as well. They want to disarm you. They want to take away your hope because he's doing what no other president had the courage to do. And if he does this, as he's doing these things, who are we going to be when we show up at the voting polls again? We're going to be empowered, not disenfranchised. We're not going to be like, F this. If we really see the truth of what he's doing, which means we have to look for that because your news station isn't going to show you. We look for that truth. We're going to show up more powerful than ever. And what is that? That we just keep chipping away at them, chipping away at them. Jesus is the only savior, but sometimes God uses unlikely people to do mighty things. You hear me? He used Pharaoh's own daughter to save Moses. He used a prostitute named Rahab to hide the Israelite spies. He used a Persian king named Cyrus, a pagan, to free the Jews from Babylon and send them home to rebuild Jerusalem. Cyrus didn't even worship the God of Israel, and Isaiah literally calls him God's anointed because God used him as an instrument anyway. Isaiah 45, this is what the Lord says to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I take hold of to subdue nations before him. God doesn't need his instruments to be perfect. He needs them to be willing. And while Trump is the disruptor at the top, you are the disruptor in your community, in your home, in your church, at your job. You are the one who can refuse to participate in the lies. You are the one who can pull your kids out of the propaganda factory and homeschool them. You are the one who can stop giving your money to companies that fund evil. You are the one who can tell the truth when everyone around you is silent. That is your calling. That is your purpose. And that is what you are made for in this exact moment in history. Esther 4, who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Mordecai said that to Esther when she was hesitating to use her position to save her people. He said, maybe, just maybe, God put you here in this time with this access, with this voice for a reason. What if that's you? And he put me here with this voice when I'm like, what is this? But what a time. What a time that he's going to choose me to be able to build this message for you. Wow. What if God put you in your neighborhood with your skills in front of your specific audience for such a time as this? What if your willingness to say uncomfortable things at your kitchen table is the thing that wakes up the next generation? What if you matter way more than you realize? You do. I promise you do. And I'm telling you, pray for Trump. Pray for RFK. Pray for Tulsi. Pray for every truth teller that they can come forward currently in any position to expose darkness. Pray that God would protect them and surround them with angels and give them wisdom and let them finish the work he started through them, but also pray for yourself. Pray for boldness, pray for protection, pray that the same God who walked with Daniel through the lion's den and Shadrach through the fire is walking with you right now through your specific furnace. Because he is. He always has been. He's not going anywhere. And that's it for today. I love you guys so much for staying with me. If this episode spoke to you, please share it. Okay. Don't just consume the content, distribute it. That's how this works. That's how the truth wins. And I love you guys. Again, thank you. This was a tough week to show up. And the fact that you're still here supporting me, wow, I could get emotional, but it's probably because I'm really tired. Okay. It's like 10:30 at night. I just am so incredibly grateful. I'm grateful because you guys are part of the strength behind why I am showing up this week. And so pray for me for next week to steward the appropriate message for you guys again. And that's it. I love you. Thank you.